All right, folks, it's Fantasy Football Now. We are on the FanStream Sports Channel, powered by DSP Media. I am Jeff Fitoff, Tito they call me. Follow me on the X at FitHappens. He is Chad Rink. Follow him on the X at Chad Ochorenko. Lots to talk about today. But we are doing like a kind of a live mock draft here while we're talking, so we're going to refer to that a little bit. And I've got the second pick in this draft. It's a 10-team PPR. I'm picking
You're on
second.
the clock.
And where were you picking? I think eighth. Is that what you said?
Eighth.
I'm on the clock right
9
now.
Seconds. Yeah, 8 seconds to pick. You'll end up getting Jefferson if you don't.
I took Jefferson. I think that's who I grabbed.
Yeah,
right there.
McCaffrey. Yeah, McCaffrey. Yeah, McCaffrey went first. It's a 10-team. Just I think standard, or it was PPR maybe.
Yeah.
So.
It's 10-team PPR is what this one is. So, yeah, I took Justin Jefferson, which I'd be fine doing that in a PPR league. I'm fine with taking him at number 2 overall in this 10-teamer. So, we'll both keep an eye on that. If we lose if we get distracted a little bit, the other guy will pick up. We'll keep going, but We'll see. We might not tell you every pick because that might be boring for you. But
it will be, yes.
Yeah, but we'll go through some of our picks, so who's available. We get to certain spots on these things. So, we had some Bijan Robinson action tonight against the Bengals. I think he had 4 carries for 20 yards and caught the only target he had. So, gets out there and gets some reps in, which is good to see. Stays healthy. Again, we're not going to see a whole lot out of these guys. Especially now, Bijan. He might play a little bit in the next game, the final game. I don't know, but as we're looking at all stuff, it's just looking at injuries, right? Just stay healthy. That's all we need to see right now.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. And Bijan just went at the 105. So that's all we're looking at as fantasy players and also as the team. They're just trying to, let's get some reps in, get them out quick. Bijan looked good. The running backs are one of those things. It's just, even against the vanilla D, they're breaking tackles and stuff. So my buddy was watching the game and he texted me and said, "Hey, he's looking good." So he had 1 catch for 6 yards, 4 for 20. So I think he had 2 for 16, and then he must have just had a couple down the stretch. So, I mean, that game wasn't great. I think it was 6-3 when I looked at it last. So, all right, I'm on the clock, and it went.
It's 10-6 right now.
Okay, so I'm on the clock here.
Are you on the clock now?
It went McCaffrey, Jefferson, Chase, Kelsey, Bijan, Tyreek, Eckler at the 07. So I'm up here looking at Kupp, Diggs, Barkley, CeeDee Lamb. See, it didn't go like the way I wanted it to go. So you know what? I'm taking Barkley. I don't like taking any of those receivers that early.
Saquon. There we go. Saquon Barkley on that one.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I second round, you could talk me into Kupp in the second round, I guess, but not that early. I don't think. I think Barkley's a good pick there, especially in full point PPR. Nobody.
Well, it was looking like
the Bengals really good.
No, I was going to say because Hill is kind of falling, but Hill is now moving up. He's in the 05, 06 range. He was usually down later, so pushing Barkley down.
In that Bengals game against the Falcons, it's 10-6 as we're doing this recording right now in the fourth quarter. We're doing this recording on Friday night. Chase Brown had 7 carries for 13 yards. That's a guy I liked a lot before we knew the Mixon situation was going on. Still, I think I like him for the long term also with that franchise, just because who the hell knows what's going to happen with Joe Mixon. But none of the other guys did much. When the starters in there doing that, Chase Brown was targeted one time, caught the pass for 0 yards, but Atlanta, that was the big thing. The Bijan Robinson getting some touches, which was good to see that. And then the Giants and Panthers game, Bryce Young did play a little bit. Did not he was 3 of 6. It was it seemed to be very reminiscent of that first C.J. Stroud game, which is nothing great. Although he didn't throw a pick, which is good. But we're not going to see much out of him in this game anywhere in the preseason. It's all going to come down to when the season starts. Are you on the clock now?
I was hoping. See, I'm on Ron St. Brown is going top of the second now, so I was hoping he would be there. He didn't go, so between me went Kupp, Diggs, Lamb, St. Brown. So I just took Nick Chubb. I went double running back, and then we'll see what happens after that. So it's just I thought it was too early to take. I didn't want to take A.J. Brown, Devonta Adams. I think Garrett Wilson. So I'll just take 2 stud running backs, and we'll see how that shakes out. And Wilson's kind of
so now
moving
they're
up
sitting
too.
there. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's still on. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor's still on the board. Tony Pollard's still out there.
Pollard's been slipping. He usually went top
those
second.
two guys and Derek. Yeah, he's slipping a little bit now. But out of those guys that I'm looking at here, and I'm trying to say I'm up in a few picks here, I guess. We're in pick 18 right now, this one. So anyway, I'll see who's out there when I'm picking. But let's look at some of the things. The biggest news of the day really wasn't big news because I don't know how much it affects things, but Jadeveon Clowney signs with the Ravens. It doesn't really move the needle for me on the Ravens defense at all. I know he improves their defense, but it's not like he is somebody who I think is going to move it enough to where it's going to change how I look at that Ravens defense.
No, I mean, it was good going in, and they just add him. And he's really kind of been a disappointment, I think, from the hype he got from that one play against Michigan. So he's a solid player. If you add him to a defense like that, it's just going to help. Like, if he's the main guy, then he's not going to really do well. But adding him to that defense with those linebackers, it's just going to help them on the defensive end, 3 and outs and stuff. And he can still be productive as a pass rusher.
Yeah, I agree. So I just ended up taking Jonathan Taylor in the second round. I grabbed Chris Olave in the third. So
Olave in the third.
Started off with Jefferson Olave at receiver, and then I've got Taylor as my running back for right now. So I'm okay with that start for that one. I think that'll be okay. All right. We had this queued up for yesterday. Go ahead.
Yeah.
We had the fantasy Would You Rather queued up as something to do yesterday, and we didn't get around to it. But let's do this now. And I like a couple of things you threw out here. And you had said, would you rather have Travis Kelce at the 6th pick overall? And we're talking PPR leagues here, I take it. Right? Standard scoring for quarterback go, but PPR leagues. Kelce at the 6th pick, Andrews in the third round at the 4th pick, or any other tight end somewhere else later. I have been, Chad, I usually am maybe I got a little fear drafting when it comes to tight ends. Like, I typically, in my years of doing this, I have not taken tight ends that early, ever. And so because of that, I typically won't be somebody who goes after a tight end in the first round. Now, I've got Kelce in a couple leagues I'm in that were traded, like protectable guys that I can grab him. But it's just such a huge difference. He's got to fall off at some point. I'd be okay taking him 6 overall, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you're in that kind of weird zone anyways where the top 3 guys have come off. Are you going to take Kupp, Hill, or are you going to take the best tight end out there? So, yeah, Kelce at 6 isn't bad. I usually don't get him there because I'm usually drafting before or after. So, and I did a draft with him. I just didn't like the way the team was there. So, I have no problem with him at 6. Andrews he just went in this one at the 305. So he's kind of fallen in a 10 team. He's going to fall in the mid 3rd, which there's still a lot of good guys there. So I think I'd rather take the chance, Kelce at 6. Then I'd go any other tight end. I just don't like where Andrews is. If Andrews would fall in the 4th, then I think I wouldn't mind taking him there. But yeah, I think it's Kelce. But I would rather just take any other tight end, and hopefully I hit on a guy that can make it to the top 5, like a Waller or Ingram or something like that.
God, I think that for me, if I don't get Kelce, I'm gonna wait, and I'm not going to go out and seek out a tight end somewhere. I am going to wait until it's a point, and I'll look at who's out there, and I'll look at the value. It's not like I'm going to say to myself, okay, I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to make sure I get one by the 4th round or get one by the 5th round, whatever it is. I am going to let the draft board play itself out and see what happens before I make that selection. I'm not going to be forced into doing that, if that makes sense.
Oh, exactly. I think that's one of those positions you kind of do. You just like, hey, if I can get Kelce, I just, and figure any of the other guys. If you take Kelce, then you're saying, hey, I kind of like Hill, Kupp, Diggs, Lamb, Sam Brown, all similarly, and I'll just take Kelsey there and then move on. So,
right.
I have no problem. Yeah, it looks like one of the big risers too. Calvin Ridley's kind of moving up now. He's at the 405. I was hoping he might slide to the 5th, which is why I took DK Metcalf over him, but he did not. So.
I like Ridley quite a bit this year. I had this discussion today on the radio show I was doing, and I'm curious to get your take on this. Who do you think is more likely to recapture what he once was at his prime? Do you think it is Calvin Ridley or Deshaun Watson? Which of those two guys is most likely to recapture their former glory?
I don't know. I think they both can. I think probably Watson has probably got a better shot just because he's the quarterback. He's got the ball in his hands. Ridley's in a good spot this year to be able to do that. But if he would have stayed in Atlanta with Ritter there, probably not. But I like them both to have a good bounce back year this year. So, but I would probably put Watson in the long run because Ridley's just a lot of is contingent on who the quarterback is and what kind of scheme they run. But I think he'll have a good bounce back year. But I would put more money on Watson.
Yeah, I think Ridley was more likely. I think that Ridley was at the top of his game still when he came out, and I think it's easier for a receiver to recapture it if you're not too old. You know what I mean? And I've heard great things about what he's doing in camp and how he looks. And the Watson thing, I don't know if I can trust with how long Watson's been out. He looked great. He looked not great at all last year down the stretch for the Browns, but it was easy to see why because of all the stuff that he had missed. And I just don't know if he's gonna bounce back this year. I tell you, I'm really down on the Browns, except for Nick Chubb, and I don't know if I see that they're not. Now, I had a decision I had to make just now, by the way, on my quarterback thing in this draft we're doing. When it came down to me, I could take Herbert, or I could have probably waited around and gotten Trevor Lawrence, and that's one of the ones you had on your Would You Rather here. And you had something where you were looking at if you pass on Herbert, what kind of players did you believe would be out there that you could take, and then when you came back to get Lawrence, you'd have this other guy on your roster. So who were you looking at there?
Yeah, so it was, and I think it's changed a little bit. But if you pass on Herbert, you're taking like a Dameon Pierce, Aaron Jones, Cooper, Keenan Allen, Hawkinson, D-Hop, those type of guys over him. And then if you go with Herbert, you're looking at like pairing him with Kittle, Dobbins, Judy, DJ Moore, Christian Watson, and Alexander Madison. So I think that's kind of changed since I did that, because I set that up about a week ago, and it's kind of weird how things have just changed on this ADP just here in the past few days. But I still think I would rather take Lawrence because I don't think he's even gone yet. You took Herbert at the 409. He's usually going end of the 4th, early 5th. And you took him ahead of Burrow and Fields. And Trevor Lawrence just went at the 608.
Right, yeah. If I knew he was going to last the 6th, I probably would have done that. And then me picking out in the 6th round, I just took Alexander Madison.
Yeah.
So as we are standing here now, I've got Herbert, Taylor Madison, Jefferson Olave, and then DeAndre Hopkins in my flex.
Okay.
So
and
I
so
feel
far,
okay with that, I think, right now.
Oh, yeah. That's a pretty solid one. You're on the clock again. So I was hoping, like I got Saquon Chubb, T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, Darren Waller, and then DJ Moore in my flex, because my goal was I was going to take DJ Moore because I saw he was the top guy left in the player thing, and hoping that Fields would fall to me in that next round, because I had that 8, 3, and Fields went right before me. So I have passed on a quarterback as of right now, because if I don't get Fields, Herbert, Lawrence in that range, then I usually just wait.
I just grabbed Damian Pierce. I was looking at a couple different guys, but Pierce is kind of the insurance if Taylor misses some time early on, and obviously it's the bye week fill in there as well potentially. So I'm losing, as I say, Olave and Taylor on the same week, bye week, and also I lose Jefferson and Madison obviously on the same week as well. But not that you should look at that when you're drafting. You should not pay too damn much attention to your bye week season. And heck, in a lot of cases, it benefits you to have a bunch of guys off on the same week anyway, and just punt that 1 week, let everyone else deal with it on multiple weeks when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do another one here before we get back into our draft picks here. You had some options. What's the next one you had on your list you wanted to talk about?
I got to keep switching back and forth. So it was kind of a running back question. Madison, Javonte Williams, Pacheco, Herbert. Madison was going end of the 5th, Javonte early 6th, Pacheco early 7th, and then Herbert at the early 9. So just kind of, because you got Madison, Javonte Adams kind of going right around each other. I think Javonte Adams is actually slipping down a little bit more in drafts here recently. So I didn't know if you had a preference on that. You just took Madison. So that may be the answer.
I just took Madison in the 6th round. Yeah, I just took Madison in the 6th round. I think I liked him at that value. Javonte Williams, I know he's back-ish, and they've got Samaje Perine in there. I think that I think I'm steering clear of Javonte Williams at that value. Pacheco and Herbert, I can't get behind Herbert yet. And Pacheco, it's a Chiefs thing where – I think probably 7th is good value for him, but you've got to believe then also that you're going to have Andy Reid leaning on one guy most of the time, which we know that doesn't happen all the time with Andy Reid. So out of those, Madison's probably a little bit overvalued at 5, but if you told me I had to take one of those guys at their value, I'd probably go Pacheco at 7.
Yeah, I kind of don't like any of them. I tend to get Herbert a lot just because as a Bears fan, and he's the one that's down the farthest. So, but I really don't like that range of running backs. So, but I'm with you. If I think I'd rather just try to get Madison. Hopefully the volume will be there for him. Like you said, Pacheco, right. He's not really used in the on 3rd down and passing situations, and you never know if someone could get a hot hand or they bring somebody in like a Fournette or something. It could hurt his value. So I don't really like any of those guys. But I usually end up getting one of them at some point, especially if you go
right
0 RB.
You got a couple of guys named Mike for the next. You had Mike Goodtimes Evans at 7th round in the 7th slot, or Michael Thomas 9th round in the 8th slot. Both have got question marks for different reasons. Thomas because he's played 10 games in the last 7 years total, and Evans because you may have Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask throwing to him, which also then affects things. I think of those two, I think I would take the Thomas value in the 9th round because I believe more in Carr, and Thomas is the number 2 option there behind Olave, which I think gives Thomas more value because he's going to draw less top coverage.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be more, if you're in a PPR, he's going to be a reception machine. I like Thomas at the value. I mean, Evans has been so consistent, but having Baker and Trask, it kind of scares me with that offense. I should have been smart and thrown in Michael Pittman too, but I think I would take Thomas first. I think I'd rather have Pittman than Evans, even though he's in another situation where a quarterback situation is not great. But yeah. I think he's talented enough. But Mike Evans is one of those guys. He could be a sleeper. As he's still we're in the beginning of the 9th round, and Mike Evans is still on the board. Him and Michael Thomas are both still on the board.
Right.
As you're picking right now. So.
Now. I don't know if I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. You still need tight ends. I don't think there's any tight ends available.
No, I picked up. I grabbed Goddard. Goddard, and then I went Homer now and just took George Pickens.
Yeah, Pickens. I like Pickens.
The 4th
Pickens
wide
in the 9th
receiver on my team. So my team right now has Herbert, Taylor Madison, Jefferson. Yeah, I think Pickens in the 9th round's fine. I got Goddard, DeAndre Hopkins, and I've also got Damian Pierce and George Pickens then on my bench. So I'm liking how it's shaping up now. And I can just draft for depth now. Obviously, don't be an idiot and take a defense or a kicker before your last 2 picks on this thing. So definitely don't do that.
No.
All right, the next one you
like I said, I'm coming up here. It's going to be my pick in the 9th round, and I still need a quarterback, and we're still looking at – it's my pick now. I still have Dak, Tua, Daniel Jones, Cousins, Geno, Aaron Rodgers. Right. So if you're waiting on a quarterback, you still have options there. So don't get too freaked out if you're waiting, because there are the options there. You can always just double up on a couple of those. So, and then, let's go look at my next.
Who'd you go with?
Cortland Sutton. I went with Cortland Sutton. I'm waiting on my quarterback. I'm playing that game.
Okay. All right. You're playing that one. Okay. So you got another pick coming up here pretty soon, though. So you'll be able to still grab one of those quarterbacks. Okay. Let me ask you this. If Dak, Tua, Jones, Cousins all out there, and then you mentioned what? Geno Smith, is that what you mentioned? Didn't you say he was out there too?
Yeah. So right now it's still Dak, Tua, Danny Dimes, Cousins.
Who do you like out of that group?
The 2 I really like are Geno, and I'm kind of digging Daniel Jones. Like, if those receivers can gel, he's got Waller there. I think Dable is good. So I would probably I think I'd go Jones or Geno, I think, are the 2. I don't really want any part of Dak this year, even though I think he can be good. Tua, like we've talked about it before, scares me with the injuries. So,
right. Are you up right now?
Here? I'm up now. I think I probably Michael Thomas is still sitting there. Let me go Danny Dimes just to pair him up with Waller.
All right.
And Barkley. I'm stacking the Giants in this draft.
And it's just a coincidence the Giants looked good on offense tonight, right? Just a coincidence. This is not just you panic like, oh my gosh, you shiny new toy squirrel. That's not that.
A squirrel. No, it's not. No, it's just
this is well thought out by you.
I would probably not. I would, I just do. When you do as many, you gotta mix it up a little bit and figure out. Okay, let's see what this looks like, and then go from there. But I was gonna wait.
I was gonna wait. Done with this. We'll wrap up the show when we get done with this, and we'll compare the two.
Right. So I think there's one I wanted to get to. There's like really one other
about my squad right now.
Yeah. So here's one I want to get to. Like, you look at the Kansas City wide receiver, it's wide open. So they're all, I think, at value. You got Kadarius Toney's going usually 9th round, Sky Moore in the 11th, Rashee Rice in the 14th, and then you've got MBS and Justin Ross both going in the 18th round. They're both going after Harrison Butker.
That's
and then
amazing.
You got Richie. Yeah, I just threw Richie James in there 22nd, but I don't know if you're looking at that. Are you liking Toney, Moore, Rice, MBS, or even Ross if you're going to take a chance on him? I just think if you can get the KC receiver right, it can be huge for you, because they're all going to be good value.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I would go Toney.
Okay.
And the reason I'm saying that, I think that Toney's got the best chance to reach his ceiling versus the other guys. They've all got different levels of talent. You're playing the Belichick running back roulette game when you're doing this with Kansas City receivers, because they love to. Andy Reid loves to, although he's not as loud about it and as obvious about it as Belichick is. He loves to bring guys out that you don't think are going to do well and make them into Superman. And so that's why I'd probably lean Toney in this situation.
Yeah, and I was looking at some stuff. Toney, like his last year, his touchdowns per touch was ridiculous last year. Plus, they use him in the running game. You have the huge injury risk. I kind of like Sky Moore. I think the best of all of them, because I'm taking him over Toney just to spite you, so that way, you can get him later. But I just took Sky Moore. But So I think, and I saw something too I know.
I took Michael Thomas right after you were talking about him, so I don't care.
Awesome. There you go. I'm back up again because everybody's on auto draft now. You know what? I'm going to take Geno.
Right.
Just if you're going late on quarterbacks, just grab 2. And then this is I hate 30
That's
seconds.
what you got to do. Right. That's what you have to do on those things.
30 seconds are fast. But no, just real quick on because they got Juju. They lost Juju and Mecole Hardman. That's 103 receptions. If you want to throw Rojo, Ronald Jones in, that's 104 receptions because he had 1 last year that's open. So I think what I was hearing, one of the one I can't think of his name. He's a big receiver fantasy guy. Like he does a bunch of info on him, and he was talking about how Sky Moore's probably just gonna be in the slot, and they'll just rotate out who else. And so I think Sky Moore could have some huge value. They drafted him, that kind of stuff. So those are the 2 I like of all of them. Those are the only 2 I think I want a piece of.
I think so too. I think that's a good way to look at it. Also, these things are on auto draft now. Already on round 13 right now. I just grabbed my second quarterback. I'm on the clock again now. I'm getting to the point now I can make one more pick as far as a position player goes before I have to start getting into the situation where you're looking at your wide receiver and your your defense and your kicker.
Right.
God, I don't like any of these tight ends. It's bad. I want a backup tight end. Let me take a risk. Let me take a big swing here. I'll grab Mostert from Miami and see what happens there. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah, you might as well just grab somebody. Look at that, Damian Harris in the 13th round. Wow.
I really like James Cook this year, and I know that Harris 13 rounds good value. Don't get me wrong, but I don't.
Oh, that's
what
I'm saying. Yeah,
the fact that Dalvin Cook didn't sign there tells me that I think that they really have a belief in James Cook, and I do too. I like James Cook quite a bit. I like the way he finished the season last year, and there's going to be red zone opportunities for him with that explosive offense.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So you're not quite to where you have to grab a defense or a kicker yet.
I just took Jeff Wilson, so
you're
we
not
can
quite there
battle,
yet. But I'm getting ready to make my pick here shortly. Well, now you do, yeah.
Man, I'm telling you what.
It's going on defense for me here. Sure, you're on the clock right now, right?
Yeah, I'm going because I know who my kicker's going to be, and I know I can always get him. So the Jets are good, but like Baltimore, just adding that. You know what? I'm going to take the Jets. I like that defense just to have some stuff happen. So, and I took Jeff Wilson, so you and I can battle with Jeff Wilson for Raheem Mostert.
I'm glad that you took the Jets because I want the Patriots defense if it'll fall to me here in the 14th round. Just because I always feel like, and it didn't fall to me, so I'm screwed there. So I'm looking at the Broncos, Chiefs. You know what? You look at the Chiefs' schedule or the Steelers. God, the Steelers and Chiefs both have great schedules down the stretch.
So do the Saints.
I'm gonna go Homer style. I'm taking the Steelers in there because I know from doing some research they've got some great games. I think they may play the Patriots once. They might play the Raiders, I think, in the last few weeks of the season there. So I like their chances of doing something there as far as having good matchups when you need them. The kicker thing, it seems like every time I wait on kickers, like you're supposed to, but it seems like in most of the mock drafts I've done, I've ended up with Jason Sanders or Young-Ho Koo, and it's starting to look like, those are my options right now if I want to take them, or Jake Elliott in Philadelphia. I'm going to go with Koo, I believe. I like he kicks in a dorm.
Yep.
In a dome, not a dorm.
Dorm. I mean,
kicks in a dorm is also different, but kicks in a dome. I like the fact he does that. He's kicking a lot of field goals this year.
Oh, I agree with you there too on that.
All right.
I like Young-Ho Koo. I just had him up here. Did he better not got drafted? Oh no, he just slowed down. There he is. My boy Rodrigo Blankenship.
I took him. I just took Koo. I just grabbed him.
Yeah. We should be done. Right. So what was your grade?
We'll give you a draft grade. I don't agree with it. It was a C+.
See, I got a C-.
What did you get?
A C-. I got a C-, so we're about the same. Which, I think it's because I waited on quarterback. That's probably why. Your flex.
Right, you're probably right about that. The strength is my flex. Hopkins is in my flex right now, and then obviously I can throw Pickens or Michael Thomas in there. Did I end up with 3 quarterbacks? I must have missed one somewhere because I ended up with Tua and Aaron Rodgers, which is not smart. To take 2 quarterbacks. I would not recommend that.
No.
But yeah, they had me the C plus. I got Herbert, Jonathan Taylor, Madison, Jefferson, Olave, Goddard, Hopkins, Steelers, Koo, and then I got Pierce, Pickens, Michael Thomas, Tua, and Rodgers. I must have fat fingered one of them, and Raheem Mostert as my squad.
Yeah.
So how about you? How'd yours end up?
I ended up my only strength is my running backs, and then I feel like they said one of my weaknesses. They said quarterback, receiver, and then they threw a kicker in there, and I'm tilted because it's Rodrigo Blankenship. He's never a weakness. Why you even throw a kicker? Like there's not even like you don't even have a kicker weakness. So I ended up with Danny Dimes, Barkley, Chubb. And then my receivers were T. Higgins, DK Metcalf. I got DJ Moore in the flex, Darren Waller as my tight end, Jets defense, my boy Rodrigo. And then my bench was Christian Kirk, Kamara, Cortland Sutton, Sky Moore, Geno, and Jeff Wilson Jr. So looking at it, if you said, do you like your team? I would be absolutely not. I just, but it's hard to do a podcast and then trying to go 30 seconds and do it.
Right.
So... And it's kind of weird because I've been doing these a lot. I got to go look at some new ADPs because there's a lot that I did not expect. People moving up and then people sliding down. So, so that's the other thing too. Just keep on those ADPs for your redraft league, so you kind of have an idea of where guys are going. Obviously, if it's a home league, you know how your guys go. But mock drafting, it's just good practice, so you're not overreaching on somebody. And then also, kind of seeing where people are going. Like I was getting, it seems like now if I'm on Ron St. Brown, I better be picking at the 9-10 turn because he seems to be going 1-2 in the second. I can even see him sliding into a 12-team end of the first round, but that's kind of where Garrett Wilson is sliding right now.
Yeah. Who would you rather have of those two, Wilson or St. Brown?
I think St. Brown. I think that offense in Detroit is going to score more, and I think the Jets. I think the Jets could win a lot of games 20-6, and they'll just try to run the ball out with the guys they have there. And I think again, like I think Wilson still will have a good season, but if you told me Wilson had 1,000 and then 7 touchdowns with like 85 receptions, like okay, and then St. Brown, he could probably have 100. 1,210. Yeah. I just think the upside with St. Brown this year, just the way the offense is run.
I'm with you. All right, we'll do more of this here again. I thought that was a fun exercise to do. Maybe we'll do another one of those. There's a lot to talk about, though. Do you have a rant you want to do before we go? Do you want to do that now, or do you want to save for the next show?
No, we'll save it for the next show. It's already 33 minutes in, so we'll save that. You got to start off with the rant. I already.
All right,
finished it, so we're good.
You're now mellow and calm down. You've had your 10. Follow me on the X at It Happens. Follow me on the X. He is at Chad Ochorinco. And we're going to do another one here real soon.